The midday sun streamed gently through the tall windows of the grand dining hall, filling the room with golden light that seemed to make the polished glasses and white tablecloth sparkle. It was a place of elegance, filled with the quiet hum of wealthy families, influential businessmen, and polished laughter. Yet amidst all the grandeur, a storm of fate was about to unfold, one that would change lives forever. A fragile old woman in an emerald dress, carrying the weight of decades of grief in her heart, looked up at the young waitress serving water. And in that single glance, she froze. Her trembling hand reached out instinctively, her lips parted in disbelief, and her eyes filled with tears as she whispered words that cut through the air like thunder, "You have my daughter's eyes." In the same moment, a powerful billionaire sitting at the next table clutched his chest, his face contorted in pain, and collapsed to the floor. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Kindness Corner so you never miss these stories that touch the soul. The young waitress was named Clara. Barely 21, she had been working double shifts to cover her tuition and care for her younger brother, who was sick at home. Life had never been gentle to her. Her father had abandoned the family before she was born, and her mother passed away when Clara was just a child, leaving her with fragmented memories and an ache she had learned to hide behind a polite smile. Every day she walked into the restaurant, carrying trays heavier than her shoulders could bear, but her spirit had learned resilience. Still, deep within her, there was always a question she could never answer: who am I really? Why do I feel like something important has been missing all my life? On that bright afternoon, as she bent down to place a glass of water by the table, she didn't expect her entire world to change. The elderly woman staring at her was Eleanor Whitmore, a figure of grace and tragedy. Decades ago, Eleanor had lost her only daughter, Isabel, in a car accident, or so she had believed. The grief had left scars that even wealth and status could not heal. Her pearls and emerald dress shimmered in the daylight, but her heart was heavy with shadows of the past. And yet, when she saw Clara's face, her world stopped. Those eyes, hazel with flecks of green, the same as Isabel's, brought back memories of lullabies, laughter, and the smile of a daughter she had mourned for years. Eleanor's trembling fingers cupped Clara's face, her voice shaking with both wonder and despair. The room fell into stunned silence. Diners looked up, confused by the sudden intensity. Some whispered, others simply stared, sensing that something monumental was unfolding before their eyes. And then, just as the moment thickened with unbearable emotion, Richard Alcott, one of the wealthiest men in the city and Eleanor's lifelong family friend, staggered from his chair, his hand pressed hard against his chest. His face was pale, his body trembled, and within seconds, he fell to the ground. Panic erupted. People rushed to help, waiters called for ambulances, and chairs scraped loudly across the polished floor. But Eleanor remained locked on Clara, tears streaming down her cheeks as though she were afraid the young woman would vanish if she looked away. Clara, shaken to her core, didn't know how to react. The billionaire's collapse added chaos, yet all she could feel was the old woman's desperate grip and those words echoing in her ears, "You have my daughter's eyes." As paramedics rushed in to stabilize Richard, the dining hall emptied of its glamour. The world of fine dining and crystal chandeliers suddenly seemed fragile, as though fate had torn down a curtain to reveal hidden truths. Richard was taken away, barely conscious, his breathing shallow. But Eleanor refused to release Clara's hand. She begged her to sit, her voice breaking as she spoke of Isabel, of the car crash that was supposed to have taken her life, of the years of grief that followed. Clara's heart pounded. None of this made sense. Her mother's name had not been Isabel. Her mother had been a quiet woman named Marlene, who never spoke of her past, never showed family photos, and died carrying secrets to the grave. Could it be possible that everything Clara believed about her life was a lie? Over the next days, the story unfolded like pieces of a shattered mirror slowly being put back together. Eleanor visited Clara, showing her old photographs, family records, and memories that painted a haunting picture. Clara's mother, Marlene, was in fact Isabel, Eleanor's daughter who had survived the accident but chosen to disappear. She had been pregnant at the time, too afraid to return to the world that had nearly destroyed her, too determined to protect her child from the controlling influence of wealth and family power. Instead, she started a new life in hiding, giving her daughter a chance to grow up free, even if it meant cutting herself off from her roots. Clara was the child Eleanor had grieved for without even knowing she existed. At the same time, Richard's collapse revealed another shocking truth. For decades, he had been the guardian of secrets, a man who had known Isabel survived but had kept it hidden for reasons only he understood. His heart attack was not only physical, it was the weight of guilt crashing down after years of silence. As he lay in the hospital bed, recovering slowly, his eyes could no longer hold the arrogance of a billionaire. Instead, they reflected regret, sorrow, and a desperate hope for forgiveness. Clara was torn. She felt betrayed by the lies that shaped her life, yet overwhelmed by the possibility of family she had never known. Eleanor's tears were genuine, her embrace filled with the warmth Clara had longed for since childhood. But accepting this truth meant rewriting her entire story. Could she forgive the secrecy? Could she embrace a grandmother who had lived in luxury while she struggled to afford her brother's medicine? These questions weighed heavily on her heart. Yet as days turned into weeks, something began to change. Eleanor didn't just want to claim Clara, she wanted to know her, to understand the young woman she had been denied all these years. She visited the small apartment Clara shared with her brother, sat at their modest table, and listened to stories of hardship and resilience. She held Clara's brother's hand as he coughed, promising to ensure he received the care he needed. For the first time, Eleanor shed the layers of wealth and became simply a grandmother desperate to make things right. Richard, too, began a slow transformation. With every visit from Clara, he confessed pieces of the past, his love for Isabel, his misguided decision to protect her by hiding her survival, and his failure to reunite her with her mother before it was too late. His tears were not of pride but of surrender, an acknowledgement that his billions could not mend what he had broken. And yet, Clara's presence seemed to breathe new life into him. She reminded him of the innocence he once betrayed and gave him a chance, however fragile, to seek redemption. Clara herself grew stronger through it all. She realized that her life had been built on resilience, not wealth, and that her worth came not from secrets or bloodlines but from the choices she made each day. Still, she allowed her heart to soften, to accept the family that reached out to her, not as strangers of privilege but as human beings who had suffered and longed for healing. One sunny afternoon, months after that fateful day in the restaurant, the three of them sat together in Eleanor's garden. The flowers swayed gently in the breeze, and for the first time, there was laughter instead of tears. Clara's brother ran across the lawn, healthier now thanks to proper care, his laughter echoing like a melody of hope. Eleanor held Clara's hand, her eyes shining not with grief but with gratitude. Richard sat quietly, watching with a smile that spoke of peace, finally letting go of decades of burden. And Clara knew, in that moment, that life had a way of weaving together broken threads into a tapestry more beautiful than anyone could imagine. The past was painful, the secrets were heavy, but the present was alive with second chances, forgiveness, and love that could heal even the deepest scars. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us keep sharing stories that remind us of the beauty of compassion, forgiveness, and family. Before we end, we'd love to hear from you. Please comment below, do you believe that family is defined only by blood, or by love and care as well? As the sun set that evening, painting the sky with hues of gold and pink, Clara closed her eyes and whispered a silent prayer of gratitude. She had found her truth, her family, and above all, her strength. And though her journey had begun with a whisper in a crowded restaurant, it had blossomed into a story of forgiveness, healing, and the power of love to bridge even the deepest divides.